is Tea Tuesday and a glimpse of my life. Thank you, Patty, for hosting Life with Patty. Check her and all the others out also. Enjoy. Welcome to Mrs. Peach, Thrifty Living. I'm so happy you're here today. Today is another glimpse in my life. It is episode 25. I'm getting closer to the end of this series, but I keep thinking of other things I want to add that I've forgotten. So hopefully I'll be able to add some more to this by just remembering a few things. I thought of something today, and I thought, when the time comes, I got to remember and tell that. I just want to remind you, if you have not watched all these and you would like to, you can go back in my playlist and find all of them there. They're listed under A Glimpse of My Life, and you can find that along with several other playlists, and some are not even in a playlist because I don't know what category to put them in, but they're all well marked, I think, and you can just check out, see what I have. You might like something, and if you ever see anything, I don't expect everybody to go around sharing everything, but if you come across something you think, oh, so-and-so would like to hear that, I would appreciate if you just share it with them. And I would really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get right into this story today. As I was saying, that everything that happened is not quite in order, because after we moved here, you know, you're staying in the same house, and before that, I had little markers of time of where I was and what we did, kind of on that idea. But here, I didn't have that as much. We were here in this home, and I'm still here in this home, so that's over 40 years. I left off last week with Richard deciding that he would have his knee replacement. His kidneys had been bad, and they had told him that he would probably have to go on dialysis, and finally he was hurting so bad, he said, I've got to take the chance. And that's where I left off last time. But I want to veer off just a little bit before I get back to that story, because there was several things during this period of time that I wanted to mention to you. That Gail and Willie, you know, they had went and been youth pastors of a little church, and then went on to a couple of hours from us, and was pastors, senior pastors for a few years. And finally, he felt like he needed to go back to college. And so he ended up going to Nebraska, where his dad was. And they stayed back there, and he went to college, and Gail got a job, and the kids went to school, and they were with their family back there, which was nice. And then later on, after he finished that school, they moved to Florida, to a big college there, and there Willie got his master's degree. And don't ask me what it was for, because I'm sorry, I can't quite tell you that one, but he got his master's, and very smart man. And he always wanted to please God. I have to tell you that about him. Awesome, an awesome man. After they got to Florida, I was getting pretty homesick to see my daughter, and it wasn't looking like they could come here. So Josh and I flew back to Florida, and we spent a week or two with them. I even got to go to work with her. Seems like everywhere she went, she found favor with where she was working, and she did really good with her jobs. We also got to go to Disney World while we were there. We lived about an hour or so away from there, so we had a wonderful time there. I had quit my daycare by then, and working at the school, and somewhere during that time I started working for American Greetings. The time frame is a little on the blurry side in my head. Gordon and Lynn had a daughter, and after she had gotten a little bit, Jordan was in school by then. They needed somebody to watch her for a little while each day. So while I wasn't home Richard would watch her, and boy, he'd take her to the Dollar Tree. They would go to the Dollar Tree pretty often. He'd give her $1. It was $1 then. Probably tax too. He had to pay the tax, but she got more little trinkets. So many things. And to this day, she still loves salami. Her and her grandpa would sit there and eat salami and cheese, and I guess they ate the cheese and crackers. And she still loves her salami. She always remembers him for that. All times, my brother-in-law and them that lived in Arizona, they always went bow and arrow hunting, and it was a big thing. And they still did it up to his death, and his family still does it always now. Richard wanted to go, and so somehow it was decided he would be their cook. Well, Richard never was very much of a cook here at home. He could fry potatoes really good. Actually, he could fry them better than me because I wanted to hurry things up. He put more oil in them, and he would sit there and let them fry and wait and turn them when they needed to be. And me, I wanted to hurry it up. Let's get this thing done and get it over with. His was better. I will say that. But they made it, and he cooked for them, and he enjoyed his time there. But he got homesick, and he decided he wanted to come home 2 or 3 days early, so he came on home. On one of our camping trips, we always went up in the hills, and Josh was riding a bike and fell, hit a big rock or something really hard, and broke his arm. And he comes running back to camp saying, I broke my arm, holding it, and bones were sticking out. And we jump in the car, and of course, remember, we're up in the hills, and it's not just real close to a place to take him, the little country hospital up there. I'm in the back seat holding it. He didn't cry hardly at all. He might moan a little bit, but he didn't cry. It was about an hour or 2 hour ride in the hills, and we got him to the hospital, and they did what they could, but they couldn't do, they said he needed surgery for it. So they had to call our hospital where we are from, which was another hour or more, and about 2 hours, I think. And they told him we was coming, and they had it all set up, and he had to have surgery. They put a steel plate in his arm, and he had that for years. Finally, as he was growing, they wanted to take it out. So they did take it out. He does very well with that arm still to this day. But that was, I mean, it seemed like he had a high tolerance for pain, because another time when we was camping, and I can't remember whether it was before this time or after this time, he busted his chin open, and we had to take him to the country hospital, and they stitched his chin several stitches up, and he laid there and watched it, and Richard and I were just about to pass out. It looked like we couldn't hardly even watch it. I couldn't hardly watch it. I'm pretty squeamish when it comes to things like that, but he did good, and so he's had a high tolerance for pain. One more trip that Josh and I took, the summer, you know, he was a custodian at the school, and at times he would, that's when they used to strip the floors and wax and mop them. I don't know how it is nowadays, but he really took his job serious. At the time, Gail and Willie had moved back to Nebraska, and he was on staff at a church, and she was working in the church office. It was a big church, and I did get to go to work with her again. That was awesome. And during that time, their church had for the staff, they had this camp for their whole staff and families, and they had Josh and I to go along with them, and it was so fun. We had such a great time. You know, it's always great whenever your kids live elsewhere, and you know, you're not part of their lives in ways, but then when you get to know their friends and get to see where they work and what they do. It really does make it better for you. You'll miss them, but it really does help a lot. Okay, I took a long way back to Richard getting his knee replacement and dialysis. Okay, so he went into the hospital to get his knee replacement. Remember, he was still not on dialysis. His kidneys were bad, and they had been watching him, the numbers all the time. And so when he gets to the hospital and has his surgery, somehow the numbers, I don't understand all that, but he had to go on dialysis while he was there at the hospital for his knee replacement. He got that done, and now he's on dialysis. So they, about 3 times a week that they put it on, and that they hook you up to the machine, and you know, it's not a fun thing that they do, but he was such a trooper. Such a trooper. I don't think I could have been near like he was when it came to all of that. But, you know, he knew God was with him, and I knew that too. But still, it's hard when you're right there in the middle of all that and you're seeing all that. Well, after he was time to come home from the hospital, you know, they usually give you, once you do the therapy for your knee also. So they sent him to a rehab facility for a few weeks. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't a long old time. Of course, it was close enough that I went to see him and be with him every day. But they worked with him. And then after that, when he got out, and then I think they had someone that came to the house 2 or 3 times a week for a little bit of follow up on the surgeries. Thank the Lord we had good insurance. And then he got set up with DaVita for his dialysis. They're around, you may, if you know anybody that has dialysis, it's all over the country. So they have DaVita, all kinds of places. Others also, but this is where he went, and he would go 3 times a week to get his dialysis. He chose to go in the afternoon because once he had it, then he was tired the rest of the day. So once he got home, he was ready to relax and not do anything. And then, of course, you had another day or 2 in between before you had to go back for your next dialysis treatment. And not long after he started dialysis, well, probably within the first year, they asked, and our son, I will say, our son offered to see if he could give him one of his kidneys. But Richard said, no, I will not have you do that. His family, I guess his mother had been on dialysis and his brother had been on dialysis. And so their family didn't have the best kidneys in the world, and he did not want to take a chance for his son to have to lose a kidney. Anyway, so there was another program they told him about, that it was for, you could get on a list for people over 50, that you would get a kidney from somebody that was older than 50. And I don't know exactly how it works, but he was on that list for all the time. And eventually he did get one. I will be telling you about that later. A lot of times before he'd go to dialysis, we would stop at Subway and have lunch, and then I would have 2 or 3 hours to just tootle around, go to thrift stores, sit and read a book, do whatever I was going to do. I didn't come back home. It's a little further than I would want to go back and forth. It gave me some free time, got to know the people at the DaVita station, and there were some wonderful people there. But I will say, during that time that he was on dialysis, it did not stop us from having camping. And later on, he went on another program that he did the home dialysis. I will tell you a little about that next time. But we could set it up whenever we was gone somewhere with DaVita, that we could go to another DaVita station. I mean, you had to plan it. You didn't just up and run and go do something. You planned it. and they would make the date for you to go to another traveling dialysis place. So that made it nice. Even we went to Fort Bragg, and we could drive into the Fort Bragg town. We usually camped outside of town, and he could go in there and have his dialysis. We did a few trips like that. So I'm going to stop at that. During that time, I will have to say, and I always say this, God was still with us this whole time. And we still was living our life. Richard worked in the yard. I did American Greetings, and I worked at the school, and with our family, and God was good. Life is good, and God is still good. Even to this day, Richard's been gone a year and a half, and I miss him. But when I think of him, I just think of the good things. Hey, he wasn't perfect, and neither was I. But God was good to us, and he left when he left, it was like he had planned, and I will tell you this: if any of you don't know your finances or where everything is, please make it easy on yourself and learn these things. If a man's watching this and his wife, whatever, woman or man, know your finances and be able to pick up the pieces if your spouse is gone. It will make it so much easier for you. I am thankful I had my daughter-in-law help me with getting my Social Security set up and all those kind of things. She was godsend to me. But so many other things, some people don't even know how to write a check, don't know how to pay the bills. Please know how to do that. And most of all, remember Jesus loves you. And if you don't have him in your heart, ask him to come in, because he will help you with all that you go through. And I hope I didn't make this too long. I have no idea. But I know I'm still on because I got a mirror over there. I'm cheating a little bit here. I'll see you next time. Go back and look at all the other videos if you like. Lots of different subjects out there. We did a tutorial this week. My friend Arcelia came over, did a tutorial on how to make a accordion scrap book. Yes, okay. And it really turned out cute. Lots of things. Come on back. I'll see you next time. God bless you. Today, check out Tea Tuesday, #Tea Tuesday. And thank you, Patty, for hosting Life with Patty.